Most people buying a mower compare deck size, cutting width, and the sticker price, and never once check which engine is actually sitting underneath the hood. Nobody tells them that two specific engine lines sitting on the same dealer lot as everything else are the ones mechanics quietly steer their own family toward. So what happens when someone who's sold and repaired mowers for years finally tells you exactly which two names to look for before you hand over your money? My name is Alex. Folks around the shop just call me Alex the Mower at this point, and I've spent a long stretch of my working life on the sales floor and in the service bay of a small engine dealership. I want to tell you about a customer named Russ first, because he's the reason I stopped just selling whatever was easiest to move that week. Russ came in for a basic push mower, grabbed the cheapest one on the floor with a name brand deck and a base engine bolted underneath, and he was back in my service bay by the third mow of the season with a carburetor that had already given out. He'd spent less up front and more overall. Once you counted the repair bill and the mower, he eventually had to replace 2 seasons later. That's not a Russ problem. That's a showroom problem. Dealers sell the whole mower as one package, deck size, cutting width, self-propel or not, and the engine underneath gets treated like a footnote on the spec sheet nobody reads. Most shoppers have no idea two specific engine lines, sitting on that exact same lot, are the ones mechanics quietly point their own family toward, because nobody's ever told them what to actually look for on the shroud. Quick word before I go further. The old methods my family uses, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book you can buy in our pinned comment below. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. Here's what should reframe the whole way you shop for one of these. You do not need some specialty import dealer to get the engine mechanics trust. It's sitting on the same showroom floor as everything else, bolted right onto plenty of the same mower brands you already recognize. You just have to know 2 names to look for, because the mower's paint job and deck brand tell you almost nothing about what's actually going to keep running in year 10. The first name to learn is Honda, specifically their GX, GCV, and GXV lines. These show up either as the engine inside Honda's own walk-behind mowers or bolted onto other brands' decks as the upgraded engine option. The trick here is that Honda badges these engines clearly right on the shroud, so a quick glance before you buy tells you exactly what's underneath, no guessing required. The second name is Kawasaki, specifically their FX and FR series. These rarely show up on cheaper consumer mowers. They're the standard engine choice on a lot of commercial-grade zero-turns and ride-on mowers from brands like Exmark, Toro, Skag, and Ferris. The trick is that if you're shopping ride-on or zero-turn and you see a Kawasaki badge on the engine cover, that's generally the same engine a landscaping crew running 40 hours a week would trust, not a scaled-down homeowner version. The second step is checking the block itself, not just the badge, because this is where the real durability difference lives. Look for a cast iron cylinder sleeve, which both these Honda and Kawasaki lines commonly use in their better models, versus a plain aluminum bore, which is what most base-tier engines run. The trick is that cast iron resists wear from repeated piston movement over thousands of hours far better than bare aluminum. So an engine with that sleeve can often outlast one without it by a wide margin, even running the same number of hours a season. The third step is reading the actual spec plate riveted to the engine, not just the marketing copy on the box. Look for the displacement in cubic centimeters, the rated horsepower, and whether it's listed as overhead valve, usually shown as OHV. The trick mechanics use is comparing displacement to horsepower rather than horsepower alone, because an engine putting out its rated power from a larger displacement, rather than being pushed hard from a smaller one, tends to run cooler and last longer under everyday use. The fourth step is one almost every buyer skips completely, and it's the part mechanics say matters more than people expect. Check the air filter housing. On the better Honda and Kawasaki engines, you'll typically find a proper canister-style filter with a sealed housing, versus the cheap foam filter stuffed in a thin plastic box you'll see on a lot of base engines. The trick is that a mower engine sits low to the ground, working in dust and clippings constantly, so a poorly sealed, low-quality filter setup is one of the single most common reasons a cheaper engine wears out its internals years before it should. The fifth step is doing honest math on the price difference, because the premium is real and worth being clear-eyed about. A mower with one of these upgraded engines typically runs somewhere between $100 and $300 more than the same style of mower with a base engine, depending on the model and deck size. The trick is weighing that against what Russ went through, a repair bill in year 1 and a full replacement in year 3, against an engine that regularly runs a decade or more with basic maintenance. For most homeowners mowing a typical yard weekly, that premium pays for itself the first time it doesn't need a service bay visit. The sixth step is knowing where to actually find these, because you don't need to hunt down some obscure specialty retailer. Honda engine mowers are sold at basically every major home improvement chain and outdoor power equipment dealer in the country. Kawasaki engine mowers show up at any dealer carrying Exmark, Toro's commercial line, Skag, or Ferris, which covers most local outdoor power equipment dealers as well. The trick is simply asking the salesperson directly which engine is under a given model before you commit, rather than assuming the deck brand tells you everything, because two mowers wearing the exact same deck brand can have completely different engines underneath depending on the trim level. Those are the 6 things to actually check. Learn the 2 names, Honda's GX, GCV, and GXV lines, and Kawasaki's FX and FR lines. Look at the block for a cast iron sleeve instead of bare aluminum. Read the actual spec plate for displacement and OHV design, instead of trusting the marketing copy. Check the air filter housing, since a cheap one undoes a lot of the engine's own quality. Do the honest math on the price premium against what a repair bill and early replacement actually cost. And ask directly which engine is under any mower you're considering, since the deck brand alone won't tell you. Here's the bigger picture, and it's what I actually want you to remember. The mower itself, the deck, the paint, the brand name stamped on the side, none of that is really what you're buying. You're buying the engine, and everything else is just the body built around it. The customers who never come back to my service bay with a dead mower 3 seasons in are, almost without exception, the ones who checked the engine badge before they checked the price tag. So here's what I want you to do tonight, not next week, tonight. If you already own a mower, walk out and look at the engine shroud, find the model number, and look it up, just so you actually know what you're running. If you're shopping for one, make checking the engine name the very first thing you do, before deck size, before color, before anything else on the spec sheet. Tell me in the comments what engine is on the mower you're running right now, and if you're shopping for a new one, come back and tell me what you found under the hood before you decided. I read every single one. Next time I'm going to show you the one maintenance habit that quietly kills even the best of these engines early, and almost every owner out there is doing it without realizing.